What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Dylan Davis. As always, I am Dylan, your host, and you can follow me on Twitter at DylanJD98. I just got a little mind boggle there with how many guests I have on today's show. I have multiple repeating co-hosts here today with me at Mark Henry Jr. _ You can give my man Mark a follow on Twitter there, at Matt _ McGinty, getting a follow, and at Mr. Crockpot. Give my man Deibs a follow because he does everything here at TPL. And my man has done more mock drafts in the past few weeks than I have ever seen a single human being complete. So he is ready to get you guys prepared for 8 p.m. tonight. And at number 12 overall selection for the Philadelphia Eagles. So on today's show, it's going to be all about the team in green. And we'll have some fun with it, guys. So first, how's everybody doing? Deibs, how are you? You've been very busy.
Backed up, baby. Let's go. Happy draft day, everybody here. My goodness, man. This is Christmas. Christmas is officially here. This is one of my favorite days of the year, just like the NBA draft. And speaking of the NBA draft, as soon as this ends on Saturday night, you know what time it is. We're getting into the NBA draft, and that we're going to be pumping out content left and right. It never ends here, man.
Absolutely, man.
Dude, I'm honored to join. As always, you and Matt are great. Mark is okay, but thanks.
But anyway, guys, before we get to our top five, so we each have laid out our top 5 selections for the Eagles at pick number 12. We'll go from 5 down to 1. But before we get to that, guys, I just want to get this message out to everyone watching. I've been saying it all week, and I want to say it one last time as we are just 4 hours away or so from draft time. Eagles fans, do me a favor. Don't do what we have done every single year as fans. If you have a list of we're going to give you our list of 5. If you have a list of players or 2 or 3 players that you really want, or you think the Eagles should have their positions of need narrowed down to 1 or 2 positions, whether it's cornerback, wide receiver, wherever you want to go, right? And the Eagles take another position tonight at 12, or the Eagles take a wide receiver, but they do what they did last year, and they take someone else over Jaylen Waddle or Devonta Smith, like they took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. Sorry, Deibs, but it's the truth. Anyway, do not talk yourself into the pick tomorrow. We do it every single year. We get pissed off on draft night. It ruins our night. We sleep on it. We wake up. We listen to some of the experts, the fit, how he can fit with the team. We watch their highlights, their film, and we try to talk ourselves into it. We all did it. Most of us did it with Jalen Reagor last year. Hell, people were trying to do it with Jalen Hurts last year when they started talking about the Wildcat and how he can help inside the red zone. We're like, oh yeah, then I get why they did that now. It makes sense. Don't do that this year. Don't. Howie Roseman and this Eagles organization should have none of your trust when it comes to draft night. They should. It's a fact at this point. If they do not make a selection that 98% of the people are saying, if they don't listen to the football guys in the building and they listen to the analytics department and if they take Kwity Paye at 12, don't talk yourself into Kwity Paye tomorrow. Don't do it, please. And my message to Howie Roseman, because I know Howie's going to see the show before he makes his pick tonight. Howie, don't worry about being a bust or anything like that. If you take Jaylen Waddle or you take Devonta Smith or Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn, whoever it is that people want, right? Even if they don't somehow work out, one of those guys is a bust that you take there. You're not going to be killed for it, because 98% of the city wanted you to select one of those guys. You get killed for bust year in and year out because you try to be the smartest person in the room and take someone outside the box that no one's expecting you to take. And it hasn't worked. Listen to the football guys tonight. Listen to the scouts and make the right selection. Anything else, guys?
You're not wrong, man. On a positive note, we're one step closer to the end of Howie Roseman, right? Am I right?
We might be. So and this is my last thing, man. You got the 3 of you know how low I've been on this team, and this team we all have, like, we're all 4 for 4 guys here mostly, but we all have like our ranks of the 4 of who we love the most and who we're into more, right? The Eagles are at the top of my list by a wide margin. Then it's the Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, right? Well, you guys know how down I've been on them, and it's not fun for me. Like, it is not fun for me to be this pessimistic and upset and mad at this organization, right? I say it all the time. It's like a toxic relationship at this point. Tonight, pick number 12 is the first step to earning my trust back within this organization. Now, we're going to have to wait till next year and years beyond to see if who I want turns out to be a bust or a Pro Bowler or not. But tonight is step 1 to me saying, okay, I can get behind that. I can really get behind that. Okay? Now, as to who those players are, guys, should we start with our list of 5?
Let's go.
All right. So, number 5, who we would be okay with the Eagles selecting at pick number 12, barring trading up, trading down. Then this is realistic, guys. This is not Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase. We all know those guys would be on our list. What'd you say?
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, we all know those guys would be on our list, but this is realistic who could be there at 5. Deibs, you're the least guested on the show, I guess you could say. Why don't you start us off with who you have at number 5 on your board?
Starting off, number 5 is my man, Rashawn Slater. This is a guy with a ceiling of a franchise left tackle. He didn't play a single snap last year in order to prepare for tonight. But what you love about Rashawn Slater is he brings a ton of versatility. You look at Andre Dillard last year. We moved him to right tackle, and he was like, nah, son, I don't want to play like that. This is a guy that's not your prototypical starting tackle prospect. This is a guy that thrives and is versatile. He can play anywhere on the line, guard, tackle, you name it. A lot of people think that he's going to be probably thriving at guard than tackle. But what you love to see out of this guy is his ability to get into that second line. This guy has tremendous athleticism. He has tremendous foot speed. When you talk about the Eagles' offensive line, I know they got really solid guard depth. I know it's a mystery at tackle, but don't be surprised if Andre Dillard is on the trade block, not tonight, but probably tomorrow or even on Saturday, and they move Andre Dillard maybe to sweeten the package to move up. Who knows what? Maybe Howie just punts it and just trades Andre Dillard for more and more picks in 2023. That's the Howie way. But Rashawn Slater is a really solid talent, and I think it's time that the Eagles fans open their eyes to offensive line in this range. He's a really solid pick, and this is my number 5. I'm hoping he goes before the Eagles pick because I have 4 that I love a lot more. But Rashawn Slater is a real talent, and I would be okay with Rashawn Slater at number 12.
Okay. Mark, why don't you take next?
Yeah, Deibs stole my pick. He got my sheet before. No, I'm joking. I have Rashawn Slater 5th as well. I don't have much more to add. I think he's just a rock-solid prospect. You'll hear me talk about surefire or upside a lot of the time. I think that those are two. You look at guys that are more sure things and more NFL ready right away, and then you look at guys who are more long-term projects and high upside plays. And if it pans out, they could be a top 5 player at the position. If it doesn't, you could look really stupid. But I think Rashawn Slater is one of the most surefire prospects in this class. He's going to be a plug-and-play offensive tackle. He can play day one and who can hopefully be a starter for the next 5 to 10 years. He's a guy who will definitely make it to their second contract on whatever team that drafts him, and that has not happened very often with the Philadelphia Eagles first-round picks. So I am hoping that Rashawn Slater is gone, like Deibs said, and I think he will be. I think Carolina will be very interested in him at 8 or even maybe teams above that. Miami at 6, I've heard, even likes him. So there's a ton of teams that like Slater. I don't think he gets to us, but I like the 4 above him a lot more than I like him, but he's a surefire prospect.
Can I give you some stats? I have some stats.
Absolutely.
Rashawn Slater, 1,300 plus snaps, pass blocking snaps. He allowed 5 sacks. He had a PFF grade of 90.1 in 2019. He allowed a pressure on 0.64% of his snaps in 2019, which is less than Penei Sewell, who'll probably be in the top 5. He allowed 1 quarterback hit in 2019, and he gave up 5 pressures in 787 total snaps. And he was an even better run blocker, 89.1 grade, which is 1.7 points higher than his pass blocking grade. This is a total package, and Rashawn Slater would be legit.
Okay, before I get to Ginn, you guys agreed, and I think I heard one of you say, do you guys think he can plug in, play day one?
Yes. 100%.
Okay, thank God. Because I know that I know we're looking past 2021, but I'm so sick of these early round picks playing 12% of the snaps, 8% of the snaps. So okay, all right, Gannon, go ahead.
My number 5 is Micah Parsons, linebacker for Penn State. I know we said realistic when it came to this, and the Eagles haven't spent a first-round draft pick in 41 years on a linebacker. Not sure how realistic this is, but Micah Parsons is a different type of physical specimen. I believe he ran like a 4.39 40 or something.
Yeah,
I
it was ridiculous.
6'3", 246. If you want to talk about just a different type of physical specimen, that's what Micah Parsons is. Kind of like what Mark said, the 4 that I have above him are 4 that I'd much rather have. But yeah, Micah Parsons is my 5th.
All right, I'm going with Mac Jones. No, I'm just playing. I agree. So you two agreed with Rashawn Slater, and I agree with Ginn here with Micah Parsons. Ginn already alluded to his 40 time. His numbers at his pro day or the comp were ridiculous. He's a freak athletically, and I mean, I don't think it's going to happen either, because like Ginn said, the Eagles don't take linebackers in the first round ever. Not to mention there are 4 guys I like above him better. But with that being said, guys, if we're talking need here, what is one position we've been screaming at for years of need? Okay, and I get it. We have Alex Singleton. Yeah, great. Okay, put him next to Micah Parsons and see how it goes. So Micah Parsons is at number 5 for me as well. Getting to number 4 on our big board, Mark. Why don't you start us off here? Because you have someone on our board.
Surprise, surprise.
I have linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he's one of the players in the draft that I like more than consensus by like one of the most wide margins. He's someone I would definitely stamp my name on and consider my guy. He is an absolute dog. He's a leader. He's a football player. He flocks to the ball, whether that be for sacks, interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. He's just someone you want to plug and play on your defense. He's someone who wants to be here. He said it before, how much he appreciates the Philly fan base and how much he loves that it's win or lose. They're going to love you if you win, hate you if you lose, and he wants to be a part of that. And he seems like the kind of guy you want to plug into a locker room. And he's also the kind of guy you want to plug into a defense that has a ton of holes at linebacker and safety. And he can kind of play a little bit of both. He played linebacker last year at around 200 pounds. He's beefed up to 220, and now he really looks like a Jamal Adams clone. And Jamal Adams, who went top 7 and has since been traded for a first-round pick. So if he can be similar to Jamal Adams in any way, he would be a huge, huge impact player day one on this defense, who started for a long time at Notre Dame and can step in right away and play some football.
Okay, Deibs, why don't you go next? Because you have someone here at 4 lower than the rest of the other 3 of us have.
Love it. I love chaos. I love JOK. He had the 2nd highest slot coverage grade in college football last year, and he's a linebacker. And Eagles fans have nightmares of watching Nate Gary get burned after burned after burned by slot tight ends, you name it, across the board. What was that passer rating he allowed? Like 100 and a billion.
And one quick thing, just because Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Micah Parsons are going to be compared because of the 2 highest rated linebackers in this draft. Micah Parsons, who sat out last year, has played 64 coverage snaps in his career in pass coverage. He's a linebacker. I get he's a little bit more of an edge guy. He's going to rush the passer more than Owusu-Koramoah. But Owusu-Koramoah, like Deibs said, was the 2nd best slot cover guy in college football and did it a ton. It's not like he did that just a little bit and that percentage was high. Notre Dame used him in every possible way they could as just a Swiss Army knife, and that's why Notre Dame's defense was so good last year.
And in contrast, Micah Parsons can do it, but he didn't do it as much as JOK. Talking about coverage. So my number 4 is Devonta Smith. This is a guy whose slant routes become routine 20-plus yard gains. You talk about the weakness of that Eagles offense. You're talking about the screen game, the bubble game, getting guys in space. Devonta Smith with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Reagor, I think would definitely bring that back to Philadelphia. I think this is just the ideal X receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Jalen Reagor is going to play a lot of slot this year. I don't know what that means for my boy Greg Ward. Love that jersey, by the way, Mark. But here we are. So Devonta Smith is my number 4. This would be an absolute home run, slam dunk pick if he falls to number 12. Here are some stats in 4 games when Waddle played with Smith here pre-injury, and because Waddle's kind of considered higher on the board than Devonta Smith. Jaylen Waddle had 25 catches, 557 yards, 4 touchdowns. Devonta had 38 receptions, 483 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The performance is still the same. Devonta set SEC single season receiving records in yards and touchdowns, 117 receptions and a catch percentage of 79.6. He had 3 drops in 145 targets and 291 targets while at Alabama, and only dropped the ball 6 freaking times. Devonta Smith, man, I think he's real, but I just have 3 other guys that are ahead of him. All
right, look, man. I want to say thank you for all that you've tried to do in Philadelphia, Greg Ward. But as for what that means to Greg Ward, see ya.
No, I don't think that's true. I think he's a good depth receiver.
He wouldn't go anywhere. I'm just saying, like, as far as when it comes to him or Devonta Smith, scoot the hell aside, Greg. That's what you can do. But me and Gint here, we are the same again. So go ahead, Gint.
Yeah, we got J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. I'm done watching our second corner be Avonte Maddox or Cre'Von LeBlanc. Second corner has been a gaping hole for a little while.
You mean straps?
No, I don't mean straps. Those are the loosest straps ever. And don't go on a roller coaster with those straps, dude. So yeah, I have J.C. Horn as my second, or my fourth, sorry. And yeah, the Eagles need a second corner. It's probably one of the biggest holes on the roster. Some people would say that it is the biggest hole that they have currently to put opposite of Darius Slay. So I'm going to go with J.C. Horn.
Yeah, I agree. J.C. Horn is fourth to me, and it simply comes down to this. Parsons was my fifth, but basically what it comes down to is I have 2 positions of need. It's wide receiver and it's cornerback too for the Eagles. And there's one corner that I like against over J.C. Horn, so that's why J.C. Horn just falls here. Mark brought up an interesting point to me yesterday that kind of talked me down a little bit from J.C. Horn, and that is the fact that at South Carolina, what did you tell me yesterday, Mark? That, people look at his numbers as he's taking receivers out of the game, and he's locked down and no one's throwing at him, but those numbers are kind of swayed a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not quite as high on J.C. Horn, and I guess I'll just say my piece now because you guys will all have him on the list, and I don't have him on my list. So J.C. Horn's a guy who I think has pretty limited upside based on his length and based on his ability to be a shutdown guy, in my opinion. I don't think he's an Asante Samuel level playmaker on the ball, and I also don't think that he's Jalen Ramsey in terms of taking a guy out of the game. I think he's somewhere in between that, who's definitely going to be a solid starter. But if I'm going to take a guy at 12, I want him to be someone who I think can be top 10 at that position. And I don't see that with J.C. Horn. He's really grabby. And the thing that, like you said, with South Carolina, when you compare him with a guy like Surtain, Patrick Surtain had excellent corners on the other side of him. You can go a lot of different ways with that Alabama defense. No matter what, you're going at a pro probably. When you look at South Carolina, you pretty much had one guy to avoid on that defense, and it was J.C. Horn. So they did a lot of things to get receivers out of J.C. Horn's area and try to get him covered by other people, and then just throwing to other guys. If you watch games that they played against good college football teams, they ran up the score on South Carolina, and it wasn't on J.C. Horn, but it's because the rest of the team was terrible. I'm not penalizing him because he played on a bad team, but it's just when you compare him to a guy like Surtain, I don't think he's as rock solid. And also Surtain's, I believe, 2 inches taller and longer. And I just think that he's a more rock-solid player with higher upside. So I don't think they're in the same tier for me.
Right. But I agree with Gin's point. I'm just so tired of the days of the corner 2 coming in due to one injury or whatever the case may be, and we don't even know who he is. Like, we didn't even know. Like, Michael Jacquet had to come in. You guys remember 3 years ago in the divisional round in New Orleans, there was an injury. Someone went down in the secondary. I want to say his last name was like Dawkins, like the jersey I'm wearing, Dawkins or something like that, had to come into the game against the Saints. It's the divisional round, and we're looking at each other like, who the hell is on in the secondary for this Eagles team right now? I'm tired of those days, man. I'm tired of it. I agree with Gint. Get someone on the opposite side of Darius Slay where that's no longer an issue. And then look, I'm not an Avonte Maddox fan by any means, but I know that he was played out of position. I said that to you so many times last year, Deibs. He is a slot corner. So now doing that, you move Avonte Maddox back to the slot. Maybe that works a little bit. Okay. So there's a couple things that go into picking cornerback too. And like I said, JC Horn falls into that category for me at 4. Moving on to number 3. Deibs, let's start with you because me, Gint, and Mark all have the same pick here.
Yeah, JC Horn, man. This guy's vision and IQ are off the charts. This is a guy that has elite feel for the game. 4.39 40-yard dash. He had a vert of 41.5 inches. Definitely has kind of the measurables you want. But for me personally, when you talk about outside corner, when you want a number 1 cornerback there on the outside, it's time to start thinking beyond Darius Slay. What I love about JC Horn is his swag. Man, this guy plays with a swagger, a confidence, an alpha male kind of confidence. Now that can lead to penalties. The knock on JC Horn is that he's been kind of grabby. So like that needs to be definitely put out on the table. But I think this is a guy that absolutely all Eagles fans will love. He plays with an intensity. He plays with a toughness. You guys nailed it. Like not only is outside corner a need, I would double dip on this probably within the first 2 or 3 picks. That's how big of an outside corner is needed. It is a passing league. The NFL is an offensive-driven league. The Eagles have nothing but slot corners. They absolutely have to address this position. I fully agree with Mark. Surtain, we're going to get to that guy in a very short time. He's definitely a tier above JC Horn. But when it comes down to it and there's a decision to be made between Devonta Smith and JC Horn, I'm just glad I'm not Howie Roseman because that would absolutely be my nightmare. Because for me personally, I'm team cornerback is just as big of a need as wide receiver, but that's because of expectations. That's because I'm a little bit higher on Jalen Reagor under Nick Sirianni. But here's some stats about JC Horn. Only 3 cornerbacks have entered the draft between 2016 and 2020 with a higher chance of making a Pro Bowl within their first 3 seasons. That was Marshawn Lattimore, Denzel Ward, and JC Horn. This is according to Next Gen Stats. He only allowed 8 catches in 239 coverage snaps. And you look at passer rating allowed with a minimum of 20 targets last year. Eric Stokes led the way with 34.3 in SEC. JC Horn, 54.9. Patrick Surtain, 57.0. And just to play devil's advocate, no one threw to Patrick Surtain. And the rant.
All right, so we are going to get to Patrick Surtain in about 0.2 seconds because that's where me, Gannon, and Mark all have as number 3 on our big board here for the Eagles. But I want to have a side conversation really quickly before we get to Surtain. And Deibs, this is more towards you because Mark doesn't even have Horn in his top 5, so I know Mark would be upset. And I would too. So remember how to start the show, I said about if you have a guy or 2 that you want, and the Eagles take that position you think they need, but they go somewhere else. So let me ask you this. Horn's on your board, and this isn't going to happen because I don't even think Sartain's going to fall to 12. I think the Eagles would have to trade up to 9 or 10 or whatever to get him, but maybe he falls, whatever. If they took Horn over Surtain.
That'd never happen.
Right,
Never,
but
never.
I'm just asking, are you sure? Because we do know who Howie Roseman is, correct?
I will just say, and it's something I sent to you guys today. I want to get the report right, but someone said that the Eagles are looking in to move up to 9 to Denver to get above Dallas to take a top cornerback. They didn't say Surtain. I'm just very much hoping that means Patrick Surtain and not that, because I do think that there are evaluators out there who have Horn close to Surtain or even above him. I think there's even guys who feel the same way about Farley if he didn't have the medical concerns he does. I hope the Eagles just don't think that they're the geniuses who figured out that JC Horn and Caleb Farley are better than Patrick Surtain. That's just my only fear. Especially, like, I'm fine with JC Horn if the guys that I don't have in my top 3 are gone.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with it. But if they take Horn over Surtain or if they move up to take Horn, I'll be upset for sure.
100%. The time they moved from 6 to 12, it was always about cornerback. That's my stance. Is that Howie Roseman circled cornerback on his draft board, his shitty draft board, and threw away the dream of Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts. That's always been my vibe from the immediate instant reaction the trade was made. So I think it's 100% Patrick Surtain in a trade-up move with Denver. That's always been my gut feeling.
I just think I get that, and I won't be mad at all with Surtain. I'll be happy with Surtain. But how can you just how can if he did that, or let's just say that's his mindset, how can you do that when the Heisman Trophy winner who had 1,900 yards and over 20 touchdowns last year is going to be available to you at 12, or could be available to you at 12, or his counterpart who some say was the best of the four at Alabama a year or two ago? It's crazy to me. And Deibs, the only thing I want to say, and I just want to say this so you don't have your heart broken tonight. You say it with confidence that would never happen, right? And it should never happen. We do know the track record here, right? You should never take you should never take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, but it happened.
Make sure you watch us on our draft watch party tonight. If that happens, that Howie will just basically build his own funeral, pretty much in that respect.
So anyway, getting back to our big board, that's who we have at Patrick. We have Patrick Surtain, number 3, Gint, myself, and Mark. So Gint, we'll start with you, and then Mark, you can take it over on Patrick Surtain at 3.
I'll let Mark do the dive in. He's done all the work in this draft.
Yeah. So. You two, the right side of this video has done way more draft research.
The only thing I'll say is everything I said about J.C. Horn and wanting a second corner, Patrick Surtain's just better than him. So
Me too. Now, Mark, take it away.
And also, I wouldn't even be with the Painted Lines if it wasn't for the draft. I think I tweeted something out about the draft, and Matt McGinty referred it to Deibs, and it started the whole thing. And obviously, the gambling podcast, but the draft is my favorite thing of the year. I can't wait till tonight. It's bigger than Christmas. So Patrick Surtain is an absolute lockdown, surefire stud. I think he's the safest pick in this draft. I have him 3 overall, but I have 3 overall for the Eagles in terms of realistic targets. But I have him 6 overall on my big board, above guys like Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Penei Sewell, all those guys who aren't even listed here because they're unrealistic or not targets for the Eagles. I think Patrick Surtain is going to be better than a lot of the players that are picked above him, assuming he goes around that 9-10 range, just because he's so surefire. He also, in my opinion, has the upside to be that Jalen Ramsey type where he can just take guys out of the game. He's 6'2 plus. I think he's just an absolute sure. I think he's the most sure thing of this draft besides Trevor Lawrence or Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry.
Or like Penei.
Penei, yeah. I even think he's a little safer than Penei because you compare him to the corners. I think he compares more favorably to the other corners in the draft than Penei does, even to a guy like Slater. You were laying out the grades for Slater compared to Penei. And I thought that's a little bit closer, in my opinion, than what Horn and Surtain are. I know that Surtain's one knock, I guess, would be he doesn't have elite speed. But like I said on my top 50, I did not find one single play, even if you go through the weakness videos on YouTube of him. I did not find one single play where I was like, oh, man, he's just not fast enough. He might not be elite speed. He's still fast enough to hang with anybody, in my opinion. I think he's a number 1 corner. I think he's going to step in right away and be close to a Pro Bowler. I think he's going to be excellent right away out of Alabama. They've had plenty of success on defense in the first round.
All right, let me pose this to you guys because it's listening to how highly you speak of Patrick Surtain, and Patrick Surtain is the number 1 cornerback on my board as well. I would say on a lot of people's boards as well. I want to talk about the trade back, right? So, Deibs, I know you like the accumulating assets. We're not looking at this year, so on and so forth. My stance. I'm hating the trade back until I see how 12 goes and I see what happens in 2022 with those 3 first rounders. Then maybe I'll come back down and be okay with the trade or even be happy with the trade, right? Here's my question to you though, because we're talking about Patrick Surtain, and Deibs, you've already mentioned Devonta Smith, and we're going to talk about another Alabama wide receiver. And we traded back behind 2 of our division rivals who are mocked by a lot of people to get Mr. Patrick Surtain. I've seen Mr. Jaylen Waddle in a New York Giants uniform in some mock drafts. So does that, Mark, you can answer this first. Does that make you more upset with the trade at all, simply because of who you had to trade behind. Now let's say, okay, great. Now we get to play Patrick Surtain twice a year. Now we get to play Devonta Smith or Jaylen Waddle twice a year when we could have been above them and had ourselves a Kyle Pitts or those guys or Jamar Chase.
For sure. So like I said, this trade has the upside to be one of the best trades in recent memory in Philadelphia sports, and it also has the downside of costing Howie his job and really costing this franchise a couple of years of a rebuild. I think this is an absolutely huge pick in terms of what's going to happen. It's a great trade. I mean, obviously I'm speaking from my perspective, but it's a great trade if Devonta Smith, Jaylen Waddle, Patrick Surtain are available at 12, or you can move up to 9 and you can give up less than you've got to move down to 12. Obviously, I'm down for that. I'm down for either of those scenarios. But if you move down to 12, and I get you guys are higher on JC Horn than I am, if they move down to 12 and Smith, Waddle, Surtain, Sewell, JOK, or maybe not JOK, maybe you don't take JOK, and you take JC Horn, I'm going to be upset. Like, I'm going to be upset that we didn't have a chance to take Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Jaylen Waddle. Like, I think that wide receivers huge need, and I think that that's something that you could have addressed no matter what at 6. And I like the idea of the trade, but it's about the execution. It's about what's going to happen. And that's so out of our control, it feels, that I don't know if I would have made that trade a month ago.
Yeah, Deibs, does that play anything into how you reacted to the trade? When you're looking at a trade back in a draft, you should realistically never look at who you're trading behind. For the most part, you should just look at what you accumulated in the trade and who you take at that selection when you trade back and all that. But when you, like I said, we're talking about our big board right now, who we want at 12, and a number of these guys could end up going to division rivals who are honestly better constructed than the Eagles are going forward. And now they might add one of these pieces that we want. How does that affect your thoughts on the trade at all?
Yeah, how can you not panic? Like we're like literally 4 hours away, less than 4 hours away from the draft. And you have Howie Roseman making the calls. Of course we're all shitting our pants. Like, who wouldn't be? Like, this is just the nature of it. Like, I can't help but be optimistic that something's gonna happen. It's because this is like Mark said, this is Christmas. Like, this is one of my favorite days of the year. I'm so excited. But I'm probably more nervous than excited. So don't mistake my smile here. Like, I am a full wreck.
Which should never happen, man.
I know. I 100% agree with pretty much everyone said here. Like, if the opportunity presents itself and Denver wants to trade back and you have to give up maybe a third or fourth rounder or a fifth rounder or a sixth rounder, you 100% do it. We did it in our mock draft. I did it for Kyle Pitts. He ain't falling to number 9.
What about Detroit? Detroit's an interesting one because
you do it. If the Eagles don't come out of this draft with a number 1 wide receiver or a number 1 corner, it is a failure. They absolutely have to add a main piece in one of those 2 areas, or heading into next season, it is a massive failure draft, 100%. And now I do agree with the trade back. There are a lot of players there, Trevon Moehrig, Terrace Marshall. There are a lot of players there that I absolutely love. JOK, if you potentially trade back, maybe even Micah Parsons. You trade back and you get a third rounder or something along those lines. There is merit to that, but in the end of the day, Patrick Surtain is Howie proof. And that is 100% what you do 10 times out of 10.
All right, before we get to our number 2 on our list, I want to address this. Justin, I get excited every year, then I get disappointed, then I try to convince myself that it will be okay. Justin, don't convince yourself that it will be okay. Stay pissed off. Stay mad. Yes, I don't mean that life won't be okay. I'm talking about the pick. Don't talk. This is exactly my message from earlier. I'm not saying that, oh, no, now life sucks, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about
hate your life, Justin.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about don't convince yourself that the pick will turn out okay, if that's what you meant by your comment. Because that's exactly how he gets to keep his job. When everyone tries to talk themselves into it, then they sell out the link, and then we suck again. Okay? That's how Howie has his job still. Yeah, try is the key word here. I feel you, man. Just don't get – we're not trying that this year. Howie, you make the correct selection. If you don't, we're pissed off.
Let me ask a quick question for Mark and Deibs and Dylan. You can chime in. Is there a world where one of the 4 guys we basically all had on our – is there a world where they're not available at 12?
100%. 100%. And I did a whole mock.
I guarantee it happens. I guarantee God, I'd put every time. Justin Fields from the Ohio State University.
I do that. Yeah. I select Justin Fields 100% if he's there at 12. No questions asked.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't. But
I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
No questions asked.
I see. Scotty said the same thing. Like Scotty at that was like, you kind of have to, dude.
If he's there, I need a live reaction from Rob Lange in his basement.
Oh, by the way, he just texted me. He's officially in for tonight.
There you go.
I need ever. I'll be recording. Fields, man.
Justin Fields is my number 7 overall guy. I think he's the number 2 quarterback. I think the Jets should take him. I think the Niners should look at him. I don't think you get tripped up on value. I get that he's the most valuable guy on the board. I would want to trade back 100%. Like if all those guys are gone, which by the way, it's very likely. The top 5 right now is looking like it could fall. 3 quarterbacks. Number 4 is Kyle Pitts. Number 5 is Jamar Chase. And what that does is it might push Devonta and Jaylen Waddle up. So let's say that number 6, Miami goes with Devonta Smith. Number 7, Penei Sewell. Number 8, Rashawn Slater. Number 9 is whoever number 9 is. 9 could be Surtain or Horn. 10 could be Surtain or Horn. 11 could be Waddle or Smith. And then all 4 are gone. And right now, that's very likely. Like it's probably like a 30% like chance. Like 40% chance.
Hey guys, remember when our pick was dummy proof? Remember that?
I'm telling you 100% right now, if Justin Fields is on the board at number 12, how he's taking him. 100 like that. That is there's no doubt in my mind.
Would you put your money on that? You're a gambling man. If Justin Fields is on the board, what do you think is more likely, Howie to trade back or him to take?
He won't be Justin Fields will not be an Eagle. I'm willing to say I'll do something crazy.
I'm saying even if he's on the board, do you think he trade back?
Yeah, he won't take him. I don't know if he'll trade back. He'll take someone else. Justin Fields is 20 plus 2,500 to be the Eagles pick. Like you'd make a small fortune putting $100 on that. So I maybe more than that. I did not.
He's my number 2. He's my number 2 quarterback. I'm super high.
Me too. But
you're a gambling man.
Yeah.
What are the odds that Hector Neris blows this game right now?
Oh man. I don't even know. I mean, who do they got? I think they have the heart of their lineup coming up. I think they got Goldschmidt and Arenado duo.
Yeah,
I was just trying to figure it out. So. Yeah, there's probably plus 500.
Oh, we got the K looking.
Oh.
I hate you guys. Even though we're doing a podcast, I'm still like a pitch behind. It sucks.
I think I'm gonna be a bit behind for the draft tonight. I hope I'm lined up with you guys.
Yeah, how are you guys gonna do that? Also, I had to find out a way, and I know we still have to get to number 2. I had to find out a way to stay off of Twitter like an hour before the Eagles. Because Twitter, everything comes out before. All the reporters have it, which I hate that. I absolutely why?
I fully agree.
No, why shouldn't the pick should be in that envelope? No one knows who it is beside the team, and 100%. It's out and it's announced.
100%.
I think if that was the way it used to be, it was horrible in my opinion. I think we sat around for 10 minutes and we twiddled our thumbs and we had nothing to talk about. At least when we have a pick 5 minutes when we had a pick 5 minutes in advance, we could start speculating on the next one, and then it just gives you more opportunity to react to picks and speculate on the next one, in my opinion. So right. I think social media has only improved the draft. I hate the other take, in my opinion.
I hate knowing 3 picks in advance what the selection is, man. There's nothing more boring than that.
That happened on our NBA draft live stream.
There's no way we're going to
do 4 picks ahead this year.
I fully agree with you.
So, all right, let's get into number 2 and number 1 here because our boards are very similar down the stretch. Deibs, you are the only person different here and on number 1. So we'll let you kick off here, but it's all the same, guys. So we just gave our spiel on the corner out of Alabama. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain is my number 2, 6'2", 208 pounds, 4.41 40-yard dash, 39-inch vertical. He doesn't have that short area speed that J.C. Horn has, but this is just a technician. This guy has some of the best foundational skills you'll ever find in a cornerback. And, this is COVID. This is COVID-19. I think this is a big reason why Howie punted this draft or moving down for 2022. Because there's so many uncertainties. Look at Caleb Farley. Look at all these reports about the medicals. There are so many unknowns about all these picks, which makes tonight and tomorrow night so much fun because there's going to be reaches. There's going to be all these different players going in and out all over the place because of the medicals, because these team scouts haven't had access to the players like they have in the past. You'll probably get that next year. I think that's a big part of it. But you talk about Howie Proof. You talk about Jonathan Gannon, who's going to be running more, press man coverage, more guys at the line.
Not the sticks defense?
No. So what you're going to see is more Darius Slay playing press man on the other side. Patrick Surtain, press man. Dude, that would be the dream, man. That would be absolutely terrific. You look at Jonathan Gannon, ex-defensive backs coach, getting this guy to mold. This is a blue chip talent. This is a blue chip talent that came from Alabama. You look at his sophomore and junior seasons, he had the highest grade of any FBS cornerback, according to PFF. He thrived in press coverage. He only allowed one reception of 25 yards or more last year. He had 6 penalties. He played the most defensive snaps without a penalty committed this season, 916. No penalties. I mean, how many times do we see like grabby hands all the time, just bonehead plays? He's
not turning your head and looking for the ball. Yeah, all the good days.
How many times do you see the back of an Eagles cornerback helmet, like again and again downfield? Just happen all the time. Yeah. He's an improving tackler. He missed only 11 tackles during his 3 years there. And he was targeted only one time every 10 coverage snaps, allowed a reception every 25 snaps. Number 1 in the NCAA. So there's not enough to be said about Patrick Surtain. Like we said before, the moment the Eagles traded from 6 to 12, I think that was kind of the basis of it. I think Surtain kind of has risen a little bit since then. And I think what the assets it'll cost from going from 12 to 9 or 10, they got to jump the Cowboys. That's 100%. The Cowboys are taking Surtain. So if I think that's all related. I think this is the number 1 target for the Eagles, not the wide receivers. It is Patrick Surtain.
So I'm sorry, this is very off topic.
Yeah.
You see this?
I'm trying. Did he hit him or did he brush him off the plate?
Oh,
he hit him.
About the Aaron Rodgers thing.
Oh, no.
Rappaport tweeted, if they don't figure this out, it is very likely Aaron Rodgers hosts Jeopardy.
So we all know.
Yeah, hit Arenado.
He did hit him.
He hit Arenado. I don't know if he was thrown out or.
No, he wasn't. And then the Cardinals manager came out and started barking at Joe Girardi in the dugout. But good job, Hector. After Bryce takes 98 to the mitt last night.
My biggest takeaway from that was the Cardinals manager was a dirtbag.
He's out there. He's just out there.
What are you? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into that after we get through this. But all right, number 2 for Gint, myself, and Mark. And I'm just going to give a little spoiler here. Number 1 and 2 for the 3 of us are wide receivers. They both come out of Alabama. And at number 2, we have Jaylen Waddle. So, Mark, I'll just preface it by saying this. I know Waddle has had his fair share of injury history at Alabama. I know there are experts out there that say, or people out there that say, he was the best of the 4. What was that, a year or 2 ago 2 years ago when it was Lamb, Ruggs, Waddle, and Smith. He was the best receiver of the 4, so on and so forth. I won't be mad at the Jaylen Waddle selection, but he is not ahead of Devonta Smith for me. He's not ahead of the Heisman Trophy winner when you look at the production that Devonta Smith had last season. I know people have things to say about his size, his body type, and all that stuff in the NFL. Yeah, I'll take 2,000 yards and 23 touchdowns any day. But Jaylen Waddle is my number 2. So why don't, and Gint, you can throw in your comments, and then we'll let Mark, the draft expert over there, tell us why Jaylen Waddle would be a good selection for the Eagles.
Yeah, same thing Dylan said. Devonta Smith is obviously my 1. I really like the attitude he's coming into with the NFL as well, with all this size speculation. He's coming in with I'm a dog and my size doesn't matter and I'm better than your corners and it doesn't matter. I don't have much bad to say about Jaylen Waddle.
I don't have any. No, exactly.
I
guess to preface it this way to Mark and Deibs, because we talked about how J.C. Horn was our number 2 corner, but we just have someone ahead of him. That's Patrick Surtain. I have literally nothing to say bad about Jaylen Waddle, and I'll love the selection of Jaylen Waddle, okay? But I just have someone at the same position ahead of him, and the reason that they are a 1 and 2 is because I think that is the biggest position of need for this Eagles organization. I said it to Mark the other day. Look, I know what corner number 2 is the need, and Patrick Surtain next to Darius Slay would be amazing, right? But you have cornerback 1. Mark said it perfectly the other day when I said you don't have wide receiver 1. You don't have wide receiver 2 or 3. You got a bunch of slot corners. And Dives, I see you down there. Darius Slay is cornerback 1.
Did we quickly forget how he wasn't that great last year?
What are you talking about?
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Look, no.
Quickly, how
he got put. He was. What are you talking about?
You want to complain about Jalen Reagor and Darius?
Are
Slay?
you Joe? Whoa! You did not just compare the production of Jalen freaking Reagor to Darius Slay. Darius Slay held receivers under 50 yards for a large portion of the season, except when he got on an island with Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf. I know what you're going to say, Mark. If he's the corner number 1, he should lock. No one's locking them down on an island 1-on-1. You can argue me all day about that.
I'm in the middle of both of you guys, so I'm playing Switzerland here. I do think to be a quarterback 1, you can't get flat out embarrassed by those guys.
Sure.
Which is what Slay did. Slay got embarrassed. He even said as much, which is good. I'm happy he said that. That's a professional coming out and saying it like that. But it's not a number 1 cornerback, in my opinion. But, I do agree with Dylan 100%. I think Slay as a corner is on an entirely different level than Jaylen Reagor as a receiver. But I'm obviously supreme.
That's not what I was saying.
No, I know you weren't.
No. I know you weren't saying that. I love you, Dives. I'm just saying,
What I was saying was, everyone's accountable, all right? Absolutely. Everyone is accountable, including.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. Mark just talked about how Darius Slay took accountability. I'm not in love with Jalen Reagor's personality so far.
I'm not even getting into that, but I agree with you. You're probably right. Same with Miles Sanders, but I agree with you. But I just think that receivers more of a need than cornerback because we don't have anybody there that I'm confident going forward. And to go on top of that, the reason that you said the reason the top 2 guys for you were because receivers the position of need. For me, it's just because I think these are the 2 best players that are realistic. So not only does it fit the biggest need for me, the reason I'm so gung-ho about taking one of these 2 receivers, and I would move up for them, just like me and Dives would love to move up for Surtain. I would love to move up for these guys because I think receivers such a need, and because I think these guys are so excellent. I think these guys are special. Dylan, you said that some people say Waddle is better than the Alabama 4, Judy, Ruggs, Waddle, Smith when they were all there. I have him second, slightly behind Smith, but I think both of these guys are better than Judy and Ruggs from last year. This is just a special wide receiver class in my opinion. So we can get bogged down in what is the bigger need for the Eagles and what is do we need corner, do we need receiver? I think we need just about everything on the football field besides a couple positions. Obviously the varying levels of need are different, but I just think you have to look at the best player available relative to your needs, as long as it's not that's why I'm so against quarterback, because I think we have so many needs. Even if I have Fields 7 overall, I'd rather just take, O-lineman. I'd rather take Rashawn Slater or something like that if that was the case. And it may not be the right pick value-wise, but because we have so many needs, we have to start filling some. And I just would go best player available relatively.
Okay. Deibs, we just talked about him for a quick second. Who is your number 1?
Quickly, my daughter's about to come home, and once that happens, it's like tornado season. It's just chaos. She'll probably join, by the way. So my number 1 is Jaylen Waddle. 100% Jaylen Waddle is my number 1 guy. Speed kills, man. Speed kills in the NFL, and this guy has it. You all saw that video between him and Henry Suggs, who ran a 4.27, something 40, something ridiculous. Jaylen Waddle will be absolutely terrific. Him and Jalen Reagor, just motion offense all over the field, slot, X, you name it, downfield, intermediate. I think those 2 would absolutely be crazy good for Nick Sirianni's offense. He also is a really good special teams player, and you look at how terrible the Eagles special teams were. He averaged 19.3 yards per return, and he had 2 touchdowns. Jaylen Waddle is clearly my number 1. In 2 seasons, 673 of his 1,100 yards were after the catch. In 2020, he had 4 100-yard games and 15 explosive plays. He can hit you all over the field. He's got tons of versatility. 329 yards were deep. 360 yards were single coverage, and 467 yards were in the slot. So he dropped only 1 target on 29 catchable passes last year and averaged 10.1 yards per catch after the catch per reception, third most last year. So this is a guy that can really almost like Devonta. There's really, I mean, it's pretty close, but just a guy that can hit you everywhere on the field. And if you want Jalen Hurts to bring back the downfield passing attack in Philadelphia, this is the guy. You look at the Eagles, they were 28th in the league last year in explosive plays, near the bottom of the league. This guy would absolutely bring that element back. And I mean, Jaylen Waddle, if the Eagles somehow were lucky enough that he falls to number 12, that there is some scenarios out there. We'll see what the Giants do. We'll see what the all those other teams do there. But
the Cowboys take another receiver.
I would die. And that's the guy I want. I want Jaylen Waddle with Jalen Hurts. Those two would just be absolutely terrific together. With Jalen Hurts' ability to his accuracy down the field, his ability to improvise with Jaylen Waddle. That's it, man. That if the Eagles were able to get Jaylen Waddle, that is an A+ home run pick.
So I'm sorry, I don't know if you saw my reaction. I simply did that because Matt Joyce got chalked at third base trying to tag up from second to third to make the final out in the top of the 10th. So
Great.
Cardinals are about to win the game in the bottom of the 10th. So that's a little side note there.
Just to say something about Jaylen Waddle, because I had him too, and I didn't really give too much background on it. I think he legitimately has there's always going to be, now that Tyreek Hill is out there, there's always going to be one player every draft that people are like, oh, well, you can't not draft him because he's Tyreek Hill. Jaylen Waddle's the one player that it's warranted for. He legitimately looks like Tyreek Hill out there when he's playing. The way he even goes up and gets the ball, which is it's incredible how ridiculous he is, him and Tyreek Hill, going up and getting the ball at their sides. There's no way that they should be as good at the catch point as they are. And then besides that, when he's in space, he's absolutely more dangerous than any prospect I can remember in recent memory. He looks like a running back at the wide receiver position. 22.3 yards per catch last year. It's unbelievable. I think, but something I wanted to touch on, because Dylan asked a question and I kind of got sidetracked on it. You compared the J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, the gap that I said.
This is closer
to Smith and Waddle. For me, it's dead even. I think Smith and Waddle are as dead even as possible.
So yeah, that's funny. I was just about to ask you that question. We have Waddle 2, Deibs has him 1, we have Smith 1. Would you so I know your answer, Mark, Deibs and Gint. Would you be mad? So Deibs, would you be mad if both are there and the Eagles select Smith over Waddle, Gint reversely, if they're both there? Are you going to be like, why didn't you take Devonta Smith when they take Jaylen Waddle?
I mean, that would be the most hilarious moment. If that actually we're on the clock and Smith and Smith and Waddle are there, that'd be really, really funny. But
it would. And then what are the odds? What are the odds we picked the correct one?
I mean, that's the true question. That's the true question, and that would be just another Justin Jefferson versus Jalen Reagor battle all season long in 2021 for sure.
We trade back.
I mean, what? I mean, it's these are two 1A, 1B type of wide receivers. So I would love either of them. The fact that you could have Reagor on one side and you could have Waddle on the other, or Smith on the other, or move Devonta Smith in the slot, who his route running is absolutely amazing. That was the big thing with the Eagles receivers last year. No one could get off the line. No one could beat their man. No one could get in space. That was really, truly the crutch of the Eagles wide receiver season last year. So either would be great. It's 100% Waddle in my opinion. But like I said, if Devonta Smith is a consolation prize at number 12, that's still an A+ draft pick.
All right, Mark, you take it from here, man, because the three of us, me, you, and Gint, have Devonta Smith number 1. I just like him a little bit more than Waddle. I don't know if it's recency bias and seeing what he did in 2020 in Alabama and the year that he had, the first wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy in how many years? The kid was just a freak. And then he did it on the biggest stage of them all in the national championship. So that's probably what goes a little bit more into my selection there. But Mark, can you tell us why you have Smith 1A compared to Waddle 1B? Because you said they are extremely close.
Yeah, absolutely. And props to Deibs also for not mentioning Devonta Smith's frame when he was talking about him as a prospect, because it seems like that's the only thing that is getting talked about Devonta Smith, and I think it's really unfair due to how productive
But
he was.
real quick, you know what happens with that shit, right? He's there at 12. The Eagles don't take him because of his frame, like everyone's like the haters are talking about, and then he comes out and absolutely tears up the NFL in his rookie season, and we're like, oh, remember when people were talking about his frame and the Eagles didn't take him?
Yeah, and but my whole point about it is, I think anyone that's concerned about, I'm assuming it's bad news for the Phillies, but anyone who is concerned about Devonta Smith's frame, in my opinion, should be just as concerned with Jaylen Waddle's height and size. I think that they're very similar prospects. Waddle's faster. Smith is a way more sure-handed, way better route runner, which is really the delineation. Are you looking for speed, or are you looking for, in my opinion, someone who's going to be a number one wide receiver right away? And I think if this draft would have happened a week after the national championship, I think Smith would have went top 6 without even a question. And I don't know if that's necessarily fair that it's changed so much, even though nothing's happened in that span of time. I think the draft process has been unfair to him. Devonta Smith was unbelievable to finish the year. And like you said, Dylan said the stats: 117 catches, 30, 20-plus yards, 1,900 yards, 23 touchdowns. He was unbelievable last year. Just one stat that I wanted to pull up about just how sure-handed Devonta Smith is, and it comes from a source I don't necessarily like, in Elliott Shore Parks, but Devonta Smith with 7 drops in 314 targets. 7 drops in 314 targets, to give yourself an idea of how insane that is. Jamar Chase had 10 drops and 163 targets. Jaylen Waddle had the same amount of drops, 7 drops, and 131 targets. Devonta Smith had double or more than double in both of these cases the amount of targets with less or the same amount of drops. The guy is just as sure-handed as they come. He's a football player. I've said that about a couple players, but Devonta Smith is just an absolute leader of. He's just an absolute guy you want in the locker room. I don't care about the size. That he's a killer out there on the floor. Out there on the floor. Yeah, I'm talking basketball. Out there on the field, but. You watched him against Notre Dame, Florida, and Ohio State to end the year. And I've said this many times. It was literally like he was the boogeyman. Like it was Michael Myers, where you kill him and he can't stay down. You put doubles on him. You put some help over top. No matter what you did, Devonta Smith was getting 200 yards, and it was unbelievable to see against the best defenses in college football. I just maybe I'm too much in the college football bubble. Maybe I followed college football too close all year. People say that about college basketball people when it comes to the NBA draft sometimes, and you overrate production. But I think Devonta Smith, people say, I've said this before, people say it'll be an anomaly due to Devonta Smith's size and frame, that if he succeeds, it will be far, far more of an anomaly if someone that was as productive at the SEC level as he was is not a productive receiver in the NFL. It'll be far more of an anomaly.
So the Phillies lost on a wild pitch.
Yeah.
So that's any indication as to how draft day is going to go.
Oh, come on, man. Need that positive vibes. Give me those positive vibes.
Also, great movie.
Isn't it good?
What? Wait, what are we talking about? Draft day?
Yeah.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. Yeah, we're really acting like this is a good movie, Draft
Dude,
Day?
it's so underrated, man.
It's a good bad movie. It's a fun bad movie. That's one of the worst love interest storylines I've ever seen in my life. The capologist and the GM, you kidding me? Jennifer Garner's like 15 years younger than Kevin Costner. Oh my god.
All right, but that wraps up our big board, our top 5 for the Eagles selection at number 12. To wrap it up, Deibs has Jaylen Waddle number 1, as Gint, myself, and Mark had Devonta Smith. Number 2, Gint, myself, and Mark had Jaylen Waddle, as Deibs has cornerback Patrick Surtain. At number 3, Gint, myself, and Mark have Patrick Surtain, as Deibs also has a corner in J.C. Horn. Number 4, Gint and myself have J.C. Horn. Deibs has Devonta Smith, and Mark has Owusu Karamoa.
J-O-K.
And at number 5, getting myself have Micah Parsons, and Mark and Deibs each have Rashawn Slater. Guys,
hard,
go ahead.
I got to ask one question to Mark. How hard for you, Mark, was it to not have Gregory Rousseau in your top 5?
I knocked him out. I decided. I actually sat down today. And I was like, if the actual thing happened, it came down to 12 at the Eagles pick, and I get the tweet notification that Gregory Rousseau's the pick. I get the tweet notification that Owusu-Koramoah or Slater's the pick. I don't want to have to deal with the hate that will come for me with Gregory Rousseau's the pick and how much I'll have to defend Rousseau. The other guys are more in the middle, but Rousseau would probably be 6, by the way, just saying.
All right. So to wrap up this episode of the Daily Dose, as you guys can come hang out with myself, Gannon, Snap, and George, and in about 15 minutes or so, as we go live on the Faithful Fanatics pod, wherever you're watching here, to talk more Eagles draft, some Phillies, and some Sixers talk to wrap that up. But I just want to wrap it up by saying this. I'm not going to be mad. I'll be very happy.
Is not going to be happy no matter what pick is made tonight. I will not. I don't care.
I'm going. Like I said, this is step 1 to regaining my trust. Not Hallie Rosen, but the Eagles as a whole, right? But it comes this simple to how my board played out with the top 2 being wide receivers. And I said this to Mark, and I just want to throw this to you guys. We all know, because I had to deal with it last year, that there are people that are already sold on Jalen Hurts, and I was. You can call me a hater, whatever you want to call me. I'm just not sold on him yet. I need to see it, as should the Philadelphia Eagles need to see it. This 2021 season should be about nothing else than finding out if Jalen Hurts can be the guy, if he can be your franchise quarterback. Because if you're not finding them out, what the hell did you do all this for last year when you took him in the 2nd round, when you had a 26-year-old quarterback already, okay? So it should be nothing else about than finding out if Jalen Hurts is the guy. Well, it's not fair to me to be, a hypocrite or to judge Jalen Hurts and evaluate him to see if he's the guy with the same slop that was around Carson Wentz last year, or that's been on this team, on this offense for the last 2 years. It will not be fair to Jalen Hurts for 17 games to see if he's the guy with Greg Ward, Travis Fulgham, Deontay Burnett, Boston Scott. Zach Ertz could be traded by the end of this weekend or tonight. So Dallas Goedert, who I like, but we still is he tight end 1? Miles Sanders, I know he had a couple 70-yard touchdown runs last year. Not, up and down with him. Offensive line play. It will not be fair to Jalen Hurts to evaluate him as the franchise quarterback with this offense around him. Do him a favor, do us a favor, and go get a true number 1 receiver with that 12th overall pick. Something you haven't done in God knows how long. And that's why wide receiver is number 1 and 2 on my board. But if they trade out for Patrick Surtain, I certainly understand why. And I will not be upset with the tandem of Patrick Surtain and Darius Slay. But that's about if they trade out for J.C. Horn, you don't want to talk to me. You do not want to talk to me if that's the move. Or if they select Kwity Paye at 12 and one of those guys is there, dear God, it is going to be a rough week.
That's it. That's my nightmare. Yep.
Any last words, fellas, before we have as we take the people into about 3.5 hours away?
What number is Justin Fields going to wear?
That would be all right, man. That would be pure chaos.
Mark needs a new jersey.
Yeah, right. I just want to say Smith, Waddle, or Surtain, no matter what, in the theme of draft day from earlier.
That's about all I got.
Smith, Waddle, Surtain, no matter what. Not Vontae Mack. We don't have a Vontae Mack in this draft, but Smith, Waddle, Surtain. Roll Tide is all I got to say. Roll Tide.
Yeah.
It's about time luck kind of falls our way as Eagles fans. You know what I mean? Like you're the law of averages, like at some point it has to tip over to our side. And it's been really just terrible the last couple of years. So come on, man. Let Jaylen Waddle fall a little bit. Kwity Paye, Rashawn Slater, all quarterbacks go in the top 11, please. Please.
You know who I want? I want David goddamn Putney. That's who I want, Mark.
I've never seen that movie.
You want Putney?
I want David goddamn Putney.
You got Putney.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap up today's episode of the Daily Dose. So if you are new to the channel, here's a quick word from our sponsors at XL Media.
Hey, what's up, guys? MLB baseball is in full swing. The NBA and NHL playoffs are right around the corner, and the NFL season is mere moments away. While we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports, we are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup in on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity for some free money, baby.
All right, there you guys go. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on the Painted Lines YouTube and Twitch accounts, and give the Painted Lines a follow at the Painted Lines on Twitter. Hit the like button, and give my man Deibs a follow at Mr. Crockpot. Give Mark a follow at Mark Henry Jr. _ and give Gannon a follow at Matt _ McGinty. Gint, any final words? I know you got something you want to get off your chest. Come on.
Me?
You got to have something you want to get off your chest.
Dark Knight.
Oh, no, I'm not watching. I'm not watching that movie.
What if Howie makes the correct selection tonight?
Devonta.
Dark Knight?
If we get Justin Fields tonight, I'll watch The Dark Knight. I want to see chaos at this point. Like why not, right? Like we're already in.
He's a Colts fan anyway.
We'll just start pouring stuff into it. Like.
All right, guys, go check out Gint, myself, Snap, and George here on the Painted Lines Network in about 15 minutes or so as we come to you live with the Faithful Fanatics podcast. Have a nice night.